The cry and the wreckage smoke still floated over the broken camp. The ground was black with ash. Buildings were nothing but metal bones, twisted and burned. The sky above was gray. The wind moved slowly, carrying the smell of something lost. Something sad. Jack moved quietly through the wreckage, his boots crunching over shattered glass and burnt plastic. He was a human, a soldier sent to check for survivors on this forgotten moon. There hadn't been a signal from here in days. Most thought no one was left, but Jack had a feeling. Something didn't sit right. He passed an overturned transport truck, its wheels still spinning slowly like it hadn't given up yet. His helmet scanner clicked softly, picking up weak heat signs. Small, weak, almost like an animal. Then he heard it. A sound. Not an explosion, not a machine, not wind. It was a cry. Very small. Very quiet. A child's voice. Jack stopped and turned. He held his breath. The cry came again, high and soft, like someone was scared to be heard, but more scared to be alone. He followed the sound, stepping over debris, pushing aside metal sheets. A broken sign read, "Medical Shelter," in alien language. Behind it, under a piece of wall, he found her, a small alien girl. She looked no older than 7 in human years. Her skin was pale blue with soft violet spots. Her eyes were large, full of tears. Her thin arms held something close, some kind of cloth, maybe a scarf. She rocked back and forth, whispering the same word, "Mama, Mama." She didn't notice Jack at first. She was too busy crying. Jack lowered his weapon and took off his helmet. His voice was soft. "Hey, are you hurt?" The girl looked up, startled. Her whole body tensed. She didn't speak. Her lips trembled. Her eyes were wide with fear. "It's okay," Jack said gently. "I'm not here to hurt you." She blinked. Then slowly she shook her head. "No, not hurt, just scared. Very, very scared." Jack kneeled down and reached out his hand. "My name is Jack. I can help." The girl didn't answer, but she didn't run either. That was enough for now. He looked around. No other signs of life. No adults. No sounds, just her. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated, then said in a tiny voice, "Saya." "Okay, Saya. Where's your mom?" She didn't answer. She just pointed at the sky. "Gone." Jack felt something sharp in his chest. Not pain, just the weight of what he now knew. This girl was alone. Truly alone. He took off his jacket and wrapped it around her small body. "You're safe now, I promise." She didn't cry anymore, but she didn't smile either. She looked like a flower left in the cold too long. Jack lifted her gently in his arms. She was so light. He could feel her bones. She had not eaten in days. He called in a report to base. Found 1 survivor, child, alien species, needs food, water, medical care. "Roger that," came the reply. "Extraction in 6 hours. Hold position." 6 hours? They had to stay in this graveyard for 6 more hours. He carried her to a half-standing room, sheltered from wind and smoke. He set her down and gave her a protein bar and water. She took it with shaking hands, then ate slowly, like she was afraid it might be taken away. Jack watched her carefully. She didn't ask questions. She didn't cry again. She just looked around, always searching. For her mother. For hope. Jack knew that look. He had seen it on Earth during the old wars. Children who lost everything but still held on to one thing, the wish that someone would come for them. That night, as stars appeared in the sky, Jack stayed awake. Saya slept close to him, her small body still shaking now and then. She mumbled, in her sleep, "Mama, come back." Jack looked up at the stars. Maybe her mother was still out there. Maybe not. But one thing was sure. He wasn't going to leave her. Not now. Not ever. The human who didn't look away. Jack sat by the broken shelter wall, his rifle resting across his lap. The stars above flickered cold light through the smoke. He didn't sleep. He couldn't. The alien girl, Saya, was curled up beside him in his jacket. Her thin arms clutched the faded scarf, the last thing left of her mother. Every now and then, she whimpered in her sleep. Jack didn't understand the words, but he understood the feeling. Fear. Loss. Hope that someone, anyone, might care. Jack had seen many battles. He'd seen cities fall, seen people turn cold, but never had something shaken him like this quiet child whispering "Mama" in a voice full of hurt. He looked down at her. "Why are you the only one left?" he whispered. His comm device crackled. Extraction team delayed. Magnetic storm. In orbit. You're on your own until sunrise. Jack sighed. 6 hours just became 12. At sunrise, the silence broke. Jack stood alert as a low hum buzzed across the ruins. Not engines, not machines. Drones. Scout drones. Old war tech. Jack grabbed. His rifle eyes narrowed. He hid Saya beneath broken rubble near their camp. "Stay here, be quiet, don't move until I come back." She stared at him with wide, scared eyes. He smiled and touched her shoulder. "I'll come back, I promise." Then he moved. The drones hovered through the sky like vultures, scanning ruins, flashing red lights. Jack ducked into shadows. These weren't rescue drones, they were searchers, and they weren't looking for survivors, they were hunting. But why? Why now? Elsewhere, deep in space, a signal had been sent. Long ago. One final message from a desperate mother. Coordinates. A name. A secret. And it had been heard, not just by kind ears, but by powerful ones, dangerous ones. The girl wasn't just any survivor. She was the key. Back on the ground, Jack disabled the nearest drone with a burst of static from his old tech jammer. The drone sparked and fell like a crushed beetle. He didn't feel proud. He felt cold. Someone had sent these machines, and they knew where to look. He returned to Saya. Her small face peeked through the rubble. She had not moved. Jack crouched beside her. "We have to move." "But, Mama," she said softly. "She said to wait." Jack paused. "Wait? Wait. Where?" Saya opened her scarf and pulled out a small metal disc. Broken. Burned. But something was carved on it. A symbol and a line of alien text. She handed it to him. Jack scanned it with his helmet. The text read, "The vault remembers. The child knows the path." He stared at her. "What path?" She pointed east. They walked, through ash fields and silent roads. Jack carried her when her feet hurt. He gave her water, food, and small smiles. But she stayed quiet. Sometimes she would stop, touch a broken wall, or look at the stars and hum a strange tune. It felt like a song. Or a memory. They reached a cave by sunset. Saya led him inside. Jack's boots crunched over glass-like stones. Inside the cave, old lights flickered. Alien tech. Saya walked like she had been there before. She pressed her hand to a stone slab. It glowed. A map appeared in the air. Stars, planets, moving lines. One line blinked red. Jack's eyes widened. "What is this place?" Saya said softly. "Mama's safe place. She said to come here, if she didn't return." The map zoomed in, showing a hidden world far from the main systems. Jack realized something terrifying. This wasn't just a safe place. This was a vault. And Saya had access to it. Suddenly, footsteps, not his, not hers. Outside the cave, shadows moved. Men, not soldiers. Hunters. Jack pulled Saya close, whispering, "Hide, now." She obeyed. Jack moved to the entrance with his rifle raised. He saw them. 3 figures in dark armor, faces covered, not from his team. "Step aside, human," one of them said. "The girl has something that doesn't belong to her." Jack didn't flinch. She's not a thing, and she's under my protection. Another man laughed. Cute. Do you know what she is? Jack growled. She's a child. The leader stepped forward. She's the daughter of a vault engineer. Her genes match a key. The key to old weapons. Silent war machines. Entire fleets. Locked away. Jack's heart froze. Weapons? She doesn't even know. The man sneered. She's just a carrier, but we do. Now give her to us, and maybe you'll walk away. Jack didn't move. Behind him, Saya whispered something. A word. Then the floor lit up, the cave hummed. Energy surged through the walls. The hunter stepped back, shouting. Saya stepped forward, eyes glowing faintly. She said no one bad could touch the vault, Saya said. Light burst out. The cave shook. The men screamed, pulled backward by some unseen force. Then all was still. Jack looked at Saya. What? What did you do? She looked scared. I don't know. Mama said I would know what to do when it mattered. Jack put his hand on her shoulder. It mattered, he said. Outside, the sky was dark again, but now Jack knew. This wasn't just about saving a lost child. This was about protecting something much bigger, and he wasn't going to look away, not now, not ever. The map in her mind. The storm above had passed, but Jack felt a different kind of storm building now inside Saya. They had escaped the cave, but not without questions. How did a small alien girl trigger ancient vault defenses? Why did that map respond to her voice, her hand? Now they walked through a forgotten valley under a sky full of stars. Jack had no orders anymore, no mission. Just one goal, protect the girl, and maybe find answers. Saya walked ahead, holding the broken metal disc close to her chest. She didn't say much, but her eyes moved across the landscape like she was remembering something, like she had been here before. Jack finally asked, "How do you know where to go?" Saya looked up at him and simply said, "I don't, but something inside me does." Hours passed. The landscape changed. Ruins, collapsed towers, broken signs in alien languages. It was like walking through the bones of a forgotten world. Then they reached a stone circle. It looked like an old temple or a memory garden. Overgrown. Broken. Silent. Saya walked to the center and placed the disc on a pedestal. It clicked. Light spread out in waves. Symbols rose into the air, floating, rotating slowly. Jack didn't understand them, but Saya moved between them like she was home. She touched one. Her body jerked. Jack stepped forward. "Saya?" She didn't move. Her eyes were open, but full white. No pupils. No blinking. She was seeing something, but not the world around her. Inside her mind. Saya was floating, surrounded by stars, colors, and voices she didn't know. Memories that weren't hers. A woman's voice, her mother's, spoke softly. "If you're hearing this, it means I'm gone. Saya, you were born for more than survival. You are memory. You are the map. Flashes of images. A vault deep under ice. A ship with no crew, just lights and data. Coordinates, a face, Jack's. The human will help you. Trust him, follow the map, and never, ever give them the key." Back in the real world. Saya gasped and collapsed. Jack caught her just in time. She was breathing, shaking, but alive. "What did you see?" he asked gently. She opened her eyes. "We have to go to the Dead Sea. It's not water anymore. It's a ship. Mama said it waits." Jack blinked. A ship? She hid it. Before the war, it's still there. He nodded slowly. "Then we go." But they were not alone. Behind an old wall, a small drone's eye blinked red. 2 days later, at the edge of the Dead Sea, they had traveled through ghost cities, down wind-blown highways, and across silent plains where nothing grew. Now they stood before a vast crater of dark blue glass. It stretched for miles, cracked like a frozen lake. At the center stood a dome, half buried. Saya pointed. "There." Jack scouted the area. No signs of life. But the silence was wrong. Too still. They moved across the glass, slow and careful. At the dome, Saya pressed her hand to a panel. It lit up. The dome hissed, split open, and revealed stairs going down. I don't like this, Jack muttered. I have to go, Saya said. Mama said the ship will only answer to me. Jack nodded. Then I'm going with you. Below they found it a hidden hangar. In the center, a sleek black ship rested like a sleeping giant, covered in dust but humming faintly. Saya walked forward. Jack stayed close, weapon ready. Suddenly, lights flared. The ship spoke in her language. Jack watched as Saya's hand was scanned. A voice said, Gene confirmed. Vault pilot recognized. Welcome, child. Jack couldn't believe it. This wasn't a simple ship. It was a vault carrier, a lost war machine that hadn't flown in years. What is this thing? He whispered. Saya turned to him. It's not a weapon. It's a memory vault. Mama said it holds the last truth of our people. And a warning. Warning? She nodded. About the ones who want to use me. Before Jack could ask more, a loud sound shook the dome. Footsteps. Not one. Many. Jack grabbed his rifle. Hide. Now. Saya didn't move. They're here for me. He stepped in front of her. They'll have to go through me first. Figures appeared. Armor, guns, bright eyes. One voice called out, Human, step aside. We only want the girl. Jack shouted back. You'll get her over my dead body. The voice chuckled. That can be arranged. Then the ship spoke. Defense mode active. Hostile life forms detected. Shield ready. Light formed around Saya. A wall of blue energy blocked the attacker's path. Jack fired first. The fight began. Lasers hit the walls. Echoes rang through the hangar. Jack moved fast, dodging blasts, shooting with calm rage. He wasn't fighting to win. He was fighting to protect. Suddenly, the ship rose. Saya was inside. Her voice echoed, Stop, or the ship will burn everything. The attackers froze. You don't understand, she said. I'm not just a child, I'm a living key, and I choose who remembers our past. I choose who gets to write the future. Jack stared in awe. Saya wasn't just remembering. She was becoming what her mother raised her to be, not a weapon, a guardian. The attackers fled. Cowards. They weren't ready to face a ship and a girl who could control it. Jack ran up the ramp as the ship powered down. Saya waited for him, eyes full of tears and light. You stayed, she said. He smiled, bleeding from his arm. Told you I would. Whispers in the dark zone. The ship hovered above the glass crater like a silent ghost. Jack sat on the floor near the control panels, holding his bleeding arm. Saya stood in front of a glowing screen. Her small fingers moved across ancient symbols only she could read. He had questions, but none more important than one. Are you okay? Saya nodded slowly. I remember more now. Not everything, but enough. Enough for what? She didn't answer. Instead, the ship began to move. It lifted into the sky, cutting through clouds and smoke, higher than any place Jack had been in years. The stars were clear now. Then they turned toward the dark side of the planet, toward a region long abandoned, the dark zone. The dark zone was cursed. That's what people said. No signal, no sunlight, just black storms, shattered satellites, and memories that refused to die. But Saya said they had to go there. She said something was waiting, something buried. Jack didn't like it. Still, he stood beside her as the ship cut through orbit and descended into shadow. The sunlight faded behind them. The clouds here were thick and strange. Purple lightning flashed across the horizon. What are we looking for? He asked. Saya answered softly. My mother's last message. It wasn't just for me. It was hidden. Somewhere no one could follow. Somewhere no one would dare go. The ship landed with a low hum. Jack loaded his rifle. Saya took his hand. Let's go, she whispered. The ground was black and soft, like ash soaked with oil. Every step left a deep print. The sky above spun slowly, like something alive. They reached the entrance of an old bunker, rusty, half swallowed by earth. The door was locked by a strange code. Saya pressed her hand against the panel. A light scanned her palm. Then, the door opened with a long hiss. Inside, it was silent. Too silent. The air felt heavy. They walked down metal stairs, deeper and deeper into the darkness. Then the whispers began. Jack stopped. "Did you hear that?" Saya nodded. "Yes, it's not real, it's memory." "What?" "This place records thoughts, fears, feelings. My people built it long ago." Suddenly a voice echoed through the hall. Jack's voice. "You'll get her over my dead body." Jack froze. It was his exact words from the hangar. "But I didn't say that here," he said. "This place remembers everything," Saya whispered. More whispers filled the air. Cries, laughter, screams, thousands of them. Jack felt dizzy. The air buzzed with old emotions. Saya led him through the tunnel until they reached a large chamber. At the center, a glowing cube floating above a broken pedestal. Saya stepped forward. The cube opened like a flower. A face appeared. Her mother, not living, a hologram. "Hello, Saya," the voice said. "If you're here, it means I failed, but you didn't." Saya's hands trembled. Jack put a hand on her shoulder. "I don't have much time," the message continued. "This is the final piece. The truth must be passed on. They will come for you. They will lie. They will say it's just about the key. But it's not. The vault is not just memory or weapon, it is judgment. It sees hearts, it sees truth, and it chooses who survives." Jack whispered, "What does that mean?" Saya looked at him. "She's saying the vault. It decides if a race should be saved or not." Suddenly, alarms. Red lights flashed. The cube shook. Something was outside. Then a cold voice echoed through the chamber. "Step away, girl." Jack turned fast, rifle raised. A tall figure stood at the door. Alien, wearing a mask of glass and metal. Not a soldier, a collector, an ancient enemy from the War of Memory. "We've found you," the voice said calmly. "Took long enough." Saya stepped back. Jack aimed, but the figure didn't move. "You think you're her protector?" it sneered. "You don't understand, human. That child holds the last key to galactic judgment. Her blood, her mind. It is the seal." "Then, she's staying with me," Jack said. The figure laughed. "Do you really think you can stop what's coming?" Jack fired. The bolt passed through the figure, just light. A projection. But behind them, machines entered the chamber, spider-like drones with long arms and drills, real ones. The ground shook. The cube began to overload. Saya screamed, "It's going to explode, run." Jack grabbed her hand. They ran through the tunnel, chased by lights and metal claws. Sparks flew. The walls collapsed. At the end of the hall, the ship opened its ramp. Jack threw Saya inside and jumped after her. The ship sealed itself and rose, just as the entire bunker collapsed. From above, they saw the explosion. Fire, ash, and silence in the ship, Saya cried. Jack held her tight. "She was really gone," she whispered. "But her message, it's not finished." Jack looked at her. "Then we finish it." She nodded through tears. "There's one place left. The vault planet." Jack blinked. "That's just a legend." She looked into his eyes. "It's real. And I'm the only one it will open for. Far away, in deep space." A signal blinked. The collector had traced the ship's path. They were coming, and they were not coming to talk. They were coming to erase the truth about her mother. The stars outside the ship were still, but Saya was not. She stood at the observation window, holding the cube her mother left behind. The fragments inside still glowed faintly, like the last breath of a fading star. Jack patched his arm quietly, watching her from across the room. They hadn't spoken much since the explosion in the dark zone. Words felt too small for what they had seen. Finally, Jack asked, "Do you think she knew?" Saya didn't turn around. Yes. She knew they would come. She knew she wouldn't be able to stop them alone. Jack walked over. But she believed you could. Saya looked up at him. I don't feel strong. Jack gave a sad smile. Neither did I. Not when I first held a gun. Not when I first lost someone I cared about. But we keep moving, Saya. That's strength too. The ship beeped. A destination appeared on the screen. Vault planet. Coordinates locked. Jack blinked. That place is real? Saya nodded. My mother called it Ilaris. It was the first planet touched by the Vault network, and the last one left. Jack stared at the screen. Then that's where we go. They traveled through silent space. Days passed. No radio signals. No stars nearby. Just the hum of old engines and the feeling that something was waiting for them. Then finally, they saw it. Ilaris, a planet wrapped in clouds of gold and blue with strange rings around it. It didn't look dead. It looked dreaming. As they descended, a strange calm filled the air. Then the ship spoke. Welcome, Saya. Your presence has been verified. Final memory access granted. The ship landed in a wide field of crystal grass. In the distance stood a tower, tall, silver, glowing with soft light. They walked toward it in silence. The tower opened as they neared, like it had been waiting. Inside was warmth, light, peace. No guards. No weapons, just memory. Holograms flickered on the walls, images of Saya's people, laughing, building, flying through the stars. Jack whispered, this was their home. Saya moved to the center. A platform rose. She stepped onto it. Lights wrapped around her body. Jack raised his weapon, panicked. Saya? She held up a hand. It's okay. It's showing me everything. Inside the vault, she saw her mother, young, brilliant, smiling, working on starships, speaking at councils. She wasn't just an engineer, she was a leader. Then war came, a race known as the Nullborn, machines built for conquest, destroyed planet after planet. Saya's mother tried to stop them, but politics failed. So she turned to the Vault network. She built it, not to store weapons, but to store judgment, memories of fallen worlds, of choices made, of people loved and lost. The Vault would one day need a key, someone pure, someone young, someone who hadn't yet made the mistakes of the past. That someone was Saya. She saw herself, an infant, wrapped in light. Her mother crying, whispering, I'm sorry, you'll never have a normal life, but you'll have the truth, and one day, someone kind will find you, someone human. The images faded. Saya fell to her knees. Jack caught her. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She built all of this to protect life, and I'm the last one left. Jack held her close. You're not alone. I'm here. She looked into his eyes. They're coming. Jack already knew. Let them. In orbit, ships appeared, black, silent, without names or flags. The Nullborn had returned, and they had learned Saya survived. Down below, the tower lit up. Vault energy pulsed into the sky. The planet was waking. A voice filled the air, deep, ancient, full of sadness and strength. The Vault stands for memory. It will not fall to silence. Saya stood before a large sphere. It pulsed with energy. A choice waited. If she touched it, the Vault would awaken its full power. Memories of destroyed worlds could be shown across the galaxy. Truth would no longer hide, but doing so would make her a target forever. She turned to Jack. What do I do? Jack looked at her, eyes steady. You choose, Saya. That's what your mother wanted. Not a weapon, not a soldier, a child who could decide. She reached out, touched the sphere. The galaxy changed. Beams of light shot into space from Ilaris. All across distant worlds, people looked up and saw the same thing. A child standing in memory, and the truth of war, of loss, of sacrifice. Shared, without filter. Above the planet, the null-born ships fired, but the vault fought back, not with missiles, with memory. Each beam hit their ships, not with force, but with their own history. The lives they erased, the worlds they burned. The vault made them feel it, and machines cannot bear guilt. They screamed, they broke, they fled. In the tower, Jack watched Saya glow. Her mother's voice echoed, one last time. You did it, you became the light. Later, they stood under the stars. The vault now slept again, but not forgotten. Saya looked up. What now? Jack smiled. Now, we live. She smiled too. You're my family now, right? He ruffled her hair. Always. Far away, others were watching. Not all would welcome truth. But one small girl, and one human who chose kindness, had changed everything, and the vault would remember. Hunted by shadows, Alaris slept, but the galaxy had awakened. After Saya touched the vault core, beams of memory reached across the stars. Every living being, every government, every system, saw something they were never meant to see. Truth. Entire empires built on lies began to shake. Histories rewritten by the victors were undone in moments. Races labeled as savage were revealed as victims. Wars started by heroes were exposed as massacres. Some wept, some celebrated, and some planned revenge. In the shadows of deep space, in a black station that had no name, a meeting took place. 3 figures stood around a floating image of Saya. She accessed the core. She triggered the judgment. She is the threat now. One leaned closer. His voice was low and cold. Then we erase her. The vault. The man protecting her. Everything. A second spoke, sharper. Do it quietly. If she disappears, no. One will ask, but if she becomes a martyr, she becomes legend. They nodded and sent out the signal. Black class elimination. Target. Saya of Alaris. Protector. Human unknown. Terminate on sight. Back on Alaris. Jack sat by the river's edge, sharpening a tool. The sun here was warm, calm. Crystal blue fish swam in clear water. The wind smelled like peace. But peace doesn't last long in a galaxy afraid of the truth. The ship's warning system beeped. Jack stood quickly. He ran up the hill to the vault tower. Saya was inside, meditating beside the core. Her body now shimmered, with soft light whenever she was near it, like the vault had become part of her. Jack burst in. We've got a problem. She looked at him calmly. They're coming, aren't they? He nodded. Big ships, no signals, no names. But they're coming fast. Saya stood up. Her face was serious. We need to leave. Jack raised a brow. I thought you said Alaris would protect us. Saya looked at the core. It did. It gave the truth. But now it's done. I am the last vault. They want to destroy me because they can't unsee what I showed them. They returned to the ship. It was already warming up, ready to fly. But before liftoff, Jack paused. Where do we go? Saya pressed her hand to the control panel. A star map opened. One small light blinked in the far outer ring. A place no one controls. No governments, no spies. Just people, trying to be free. Jack narrowed his eyes. The drift colonies? She nodded. They'll believe us. They've lost people too. The ship lifted off. Behind them, the vault tower dimmed, folding into the earth, hidden once more. Hours later in space, they were being followed. Jack saw it in the sensors. A ship, black, sharp like a blade, moving too fast for anything normal. They found us. Saya didn't panic. Don't go to the colonies yet, they'll follow us there. Then where? Somewhere broken, somewhere no one wants to go. Jack nodded. I know just the place. The graveyard. That's what smugglers called it, a field of shattered ships, remains of a forgotten battle, drifting between 2 dead moons. Radiation, broken metal, No beacons, no rules. The perfect place to hide or die. Jack dropped them in fast. The ship slipped between floating wrecks. Torn cruisers, burned carriers, shattered stations. They found a hollow hull big enough to hide in. He powered everything. Down silence, darkness, stillness, they waited. Hours passed, then a sound. The black ship entered the graveyard, moving slow, hunting. Jack and Saya watched through the narrow window. It had no lights, just shadow, and whispers. Voices played across the comms, even though their system was off. Give her to us. She belongs to us. She is the end of your kind. Jack turned it off. Saya was shaking, but her eyes stayed strong. They want to use me. Turn me into a weapon of silence. He knelt beside her. They won't. Suddenly, the enemy ship launched. Something small spheres. Scanners. Jack cursed. They're searching every wreck. He grabbed his gear. We need to fight. Saya looked scared. But we're alone. Jack touched her shoulder. Not alone. Just outnumbered. Big difference. He stepped outside. The air was thin. The gravity weak. But Jack moved like a ghost floating between ruins. He planted traps. Set decoys. Wired charges. He knew how to fight dirty. He wasn't a soldier anymore. He was a protector. And this was his final stand. Back in the ship, Saya sat by the controls. Her hands glowed again. The vault was still with her. She whispered a message into space, broadcasting to old frequencies her mother once used. Anyone who still remembers the truth, help us. She didn't know if anyone heard, but she had to try. Then the black ship struck. Explosions rocked the wreck. Jack opened fire from above, blowing one of the drones apart. More came. He fought like a storm. Laser burns. Smoke. Blood. He didn't stop. But he couldn't hold them all. One enemy soldier broke into the hiding place. He aimed a weapon at Saya. She turned, eyes glowing fully white now, and whispered, "No." Light exploded from her chest. A shockwave tore through the room. The enemy screamed, then vanished. Jack stumbled back in, bleeding. Saya ran to him. "You're hurt," he smiled weakly. "You should see the other guy." Then, a voice came through, crackling, familiar. "We heard your message, we're inbound." Jack blinked. "That's Admiral Roan." Saya looked out the window. Ships. Real ones. Not enemies. Not spies, survivors, believers. People who saw the truth and chose to fight for it. The black ship tried to flee, but the survivors blocked it. In one great beam of white light, it was destroyed. Gone. Silence. Again, but a different kind of silence. Victory. Saya helped Jack to the chair. "Is it over?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "For now." She whispered, "What if they come back?" Jack looked at her, then out the window at the stars. "Then we show them again. Who we are, and what we remember. A new home, a new family." The black ship was gone. Its wreckage drifted like dust through the graveyard, lost among a million broken memories. But Jack was still breathing, and Saya was still glowing. 3 days later, they were on the move again, this time with a convoy. Admiral Roan's fleet, survivors, rebels, and those brave enough to fight for truth, now followed Saya's signal. They had seen what the vault showed the galaxy. They had heard her call, but not all had responded with peace. Whispers filled the stars. The powerful wanted silence, and Saya was still a target. Jack stood by the bridge window of their ship, his ribs still bandaged. He watched Saya below, walking, through the crew deck. Everywhere she went, people paused, not out of fear, out of respect. She was only a child, but she had changed the galaxy. Jack turned as Admiral Roan approached. Her gray armor still showed battle damage. "She's calm," Roan said. "She's tired," Jack replied. "She's dangerous." Jack turned slowly. "No, she's necessary." Roan nodded, understanding. "We've located a planet. she said. Not on any star map. Quiet, habitable. No one owns it. Jack frowned. You mean no one's claimed it yet? She smirked. Exactly. We want you and Saya to see it first. If she says yes, it becomes something more. The planet had no name, just colors, blue skies, green hills, golden forests, quiet rivers. The ship landed gently, like it didn't want to wake the silence. Jack stepped out first, scanning for threats. Nothing. Just peace. Saya followed him. The air was fresh. Birds, real ones, flew overhead. The sun was warm, gentle on her skin. She closed her eyes and smiled. This is it, she whispered. Jack looked at her. You're sure? She nodded. The vault is quiet. It doesn't need to watch anymore. It trusts me. Jack looked around. So do I. That night, the survivors gathered. Small fires flickered in the forest. Tents were raised. Children laughed. Old soldiers sang. Alien families huddled together, watching the stars. Saya stood at the center beside Jack and Admiral Roan. Everyone waited. She stepped forward. I am not a ruler, she said in a small voice. I am not a weapon. I am not a god. I am a child, a daughter, a girl who lost her mother and found a new one in all of you. This place is not mine, but maybe it can be ours. If we live with truth. If we protect each other. If we remember. She looked at Jack. He stepped up beside her. No more empires, he said. No more lies. We build something real. Together. The crowd clapped. Some cried. Some fell silent, but all believed. That was how New Alaris was born, not from war, but from a promise. Weeks passed. Jack built a house near the edge of the forest. Not big, just enough for two. Saya helped. She planted flowers, she painted the walls with stars. At night they sat on the porch. She would rest her head on his arm and he would tell her stories from Earth. Funny stories. Sad ones. And once in a while she told stories too. Of her mother. Of the vault. Of the galaxy she remembered. She was still a child, but her voice carried wisdom beyond her years. Then one night, she had a dream. Her mother stood on the riverbank wearing the same scarf Saya had clung to when Jack first found her. I'm proud of you, her mother whispered. Saya ran to her but couldn't touch her. You're not alone anymore, the voice said. Then her mother faded into stars. Saya woke with tears in her eyes, but she was smiling. She walked outside. Jack was already awake, making tea. She sat beside him. I think she's happy, Saya said. Jack handed her a cup. I think she always knew you'd make it. I didn't do it alone. Jack looked at her. No one ever does. Elsewhere. Not. Everyone celebrated. In the far corners of the galaxy, those who lost power when the truth was revealed, whispered in anger. Let her play her little game, one voice said. The girl will fade. Peace never lasts. But another answered, and yet the vault still stands, back on New Alaris. One day Saya saw a child, small, scared, alien, crying near the market. She walked over, kneeled, and said the same words Jack once said to her. Are you hurt? I can help. The child looked up and nodded. Saya smiled. The circle had turned. The pain had been past. But so had the healing. A new future had begun. Not with guns, but with kindness. Not with armies, but with one human who didn't walk away. And one alien girl who remembered everything. Final scene. Jack sat by the fire, writing in an old journal. He looked up. As Saya entered, she held a flower in her hand. Hey, she said. Hey, he smiled. You okay? She nodded. I'm thinking of starting a school. A school? She grinned. To teach history, real history. Jack laughed. Sounds like trouble. She sat beside him. Good. Trouble means they're paying attention.